Let's move on to one that maybe it's much more mainstream now, and I think we're at a point where this is maybe more mature. It's turning to becoming a lot more mainstream and widespread. So this one is what's been called augmented analytics, or natural language processing based, search based analytics, or chatbot based visualizations. So we saw this, there's companies like ThoughtSpot and Tellius that sort of made a niche in this area. Then quickly players like Power BI and Tableau and Qlik and so on adopted various, augmented analytics capabilities where you can just use natural language to say, show me a visualization of XYZ, and it combs through the data and does it. Are we at a point now where this has become sort of passe? Is this, the given, the table stakes that a typical business user without a lot of tech savvy should be able to come in and type in a search bar what they want and get a ready-made slide deck with visuals, or is this still not quite widespread enough?
I don't think it's widespread. I mean, there's still a lot of people that are using Excel spreadsheets
Sure. Yeah.
and SQL statements. So I don't think it's at a saturation level yet. We use ThoughtSpot. It's a fantastic tool,
Mhm.
and I think more and more biz folks are going to be just looking for natural language query capabilities to drive analytics. Because today it's the playing field is still very difficult for the business to get insights. You have to write a report. And so being able to naturally query a data set without having to get the technology organization involved, I
Mhm.
think we're still in the early innings. I think this is probably inning three. It's still probably got a couple more years to get mainstream. And it's a very crowded space as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of the cores to this isn't so much the visualization tool or the natural language processing piece of it itself. It's that you have to have clean data. And I think
Yep.
for a lot of organizations, there's still a struggle just to get all their data in the right places and get it modeled correctly and get it tagged appropriately. So there's sort of a data cataloging question here.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things too in the cloud transformation space is an investment in really cleaning up your data. That's
Mhm.
probably the hardest part, and where most companies are spending a lot of time as they do these transformations and moving from your traditional Informatica, Teradata, Oracle infrastructure to something much more modern and real time.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, I think it's the cataloging piece too. I do wonder if companies like, data.world, for instance, which is sort of a knowledge graph based data cataloging company, if this sort of new paradigm of how to map data relationships between different data sets, if that's going to be maybe a way to unlock some of this ability to query the data and do some natural language on it that's cleaner. But these are heavy lifts, right? I mean, there's sort of governance and data literacy pieces that are foundational for any of these kinds of changes. And when you talked about digital transformation, this is kind of one of it, right? It's one of the pieces
Yeah.
is getting the political climate, the talent up and running. Do you at your organization have kind of a fairly mature self-service analytics setup?
We're actually launching our whole suite of self-service analytics in the first quarter of 2023.
Oh, excellent. So that's a trend
Yeah,
for you. Yeah.
so
Perfect.
in order to take advantage of it though, we had to spend a lot of time building out our real-time data infrastructure. So
Okay.
publishing events onto Kafka,
Mm.
having those events be processed by Dataproc, putting them into the appropriate storage models within Google, normalizing the data into BigQuery. And
Mhm.
then after you get all of those things put in place, then you could take advantage of tools like ThoughtSpot. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so it's been it's been a heavy lift for us over the last 2.5 years, but we're finally on the other side of it, which is good. But most companies have to go through that in order to take advantage of a lot of this tooling,
Mhm.
which for me still means there is a lot of room for these things to grow.
Yeah. Okay, great. Good point there. And a lot of the self-service pieces too with data prep are kind of
Correct.
components to that, like Alteryx and Tableau prep. There's a lot of interesting sort of drag and drop tools out there now that help data prep and building data flows much more easy for business users. You mentioned Google, so you use BigQuery, and you mentioned in the AI and ML discussion, you've got the Google suite of tools there. But you also mentioned Kafka for your
Yeah.
streaming. Is there a reason that Google PubSub wasn't maybe the fit for you, or do you use PubSub as well?
We mostly use Kafka. I mean, we
Mhm.
were using Kafka before we went to Google Cloud, so that's probably why we have a bias towards it. We do see some emerging things like Pulsar and other technologies, Pulsar from DataStack being a
Mm.
really interesting technology, which is kind of the Switzerland of integration technology, is pretty cool. But we use Kafka just because of the high throughput nature of being able to publish data events onto it and to enable it to process our information. Too, a lot of our machine learning models, we like to have real time data around those. So Kafka is a natural fit for doing some of those as well.